John Rambo was a top soldier in the U.S. Army Special Forces. He fought bravely in the Vietnam War and received the Medal of Honor. During the war, he was captured and tortured in a prison camp. The pain he went through was beyond imagination. Years later, he roams across America, still haunted by the memories of his past. He isn't looking for trouble, just peace. But injustice in his own country drags him back into a world of violence. It's 1980 in America. A lone drifter, with tired eyes and a faint, worn-out smile, walks into a quiet town by the lake. He walks up to a small house near the shore and knocks on the door. Two women answer. He asks if they knew a man he once fought beside in Vietnam. They are the man's mother and sister. Joan says nothing. He simply hands them a faded note with their address and an old photo of their son in uniform, standing next to him. The mother's face turns sad. She tells Joan her son died last year from cancer, something he brought back from the war. She believes Agent Orange, the chemical used during the war. It destroyed the jungles and ruined many lives. Joan stands in silence, shocked and heartbroken. He gently gives the photo back and turns to go, sadness heavy on his shoulders. He walks along the open highway. By nightfall, he reaches a small town in Washington called Hope. Sheriff Will Teasel knows every face in town. So when he sees the stranger, he notices right away. Rambo's long hair and the American flag patch on his jacket bother the sheriff. Rambo keeps walking calm, silent, and without a hint of apology. Will offers Joan a ride. After a short pause, John agrees. He says he's going to Portland, but will become suspicious Portland is in the other direction. Joan explains he just wants something to eat. Will stays calm and tells him the nearest diner is 50 kilometers away. The message is clear, he wants Joan gone. Will takes pride in keeping the town of Hope quiet and safe. To him, a drifter like John is a risk. He believes it's best to stop trouble before it begins. At the edge of town, he drops Rambo off and firmly warns him not to return. Joan stays silent. He looks calm, but inside something stirs. His military training keeps it buried deep. Light rain starts to fall. Joan turns around and walks straight back into town. He doesn't wait for the sheriff's car to disappear. He knows he was treated unfairly and he won't just let it go. Will spots him and quickly steps in. This time, John doesn't even look at him. The sheriff grabs Joan's arm. Joan calmly pulls away, using firm but controlled strength. That's all Will needs to see. He pulls out his gun and makes the arrest. A large knife is found on Joan's belt. Joan says it's for hunting, but Will ignores him and takes him to the station without a word. At the jail, things get worse. Will charges Joan with vagrancy, resisting arrest, and carrying a hidden weapon. The other officers mock Joan, but Will stays focused on keeping order. He sees the dirt on Rambo and says he could use a good wash. Joan becomes tense. He starts seeing everyone around him as a threat. He notices everything: the weapons locker, the barred windows. The sight brings back painful memories of the prison camp where he was once tortured. The feeling of being a prisoner again, this time in his own country, is too much to bear. Joan shuts down. He won't speak or follow orders. Deputy G grabs the dog tags from around his neck and reads the name John Rambo. Even as a soldier, he gets no respect. When they try to take his fingerprints, he fights back. Teasel steps in and threatens him with 90 days in jail and a $250 fine. Teasel sets the court date for 10/0 a.m. and tells the officers to clean up the prisoner. Later, they force John to undress. That's when they see the deep scars covering his body. One young officer, Mitch, starts to wonder who this man really is. He wants to say something to the sheriff, but Deputy G is already out of patience. Deputy G spins Rambo around and hits him hard with a baton. Then comes the final insult. They blast him with high-pressure water while laughing like it's a joke. When they try to shave him with a straight razor, something inside him breaks. Memories of Vietnam come rushing back. His breathing turns sharp and uneven. Then he snaps. In seconds, John takes down Deputy G and two officers with sharp, skilled moves. He grabs his knife and bolts for the door. Outside, he knocks a man off his motorcycle and rides off into the rain. G runs out with his rifle, ready to shoot, but Teasel stops him. The streets are crowded, and Rambo quickly disappears. He speeds away, with the sheriff chasing close behind. But once they hit rough terrain, John pulls ahead. Teasel calls for backup but loses control on a steep hill and crashes, tumbling down the slope. Rambo's bike crashes too, so he leaves it behind and runs into the mountains. Cold and soaked by rain, he finds an old construction camp deep in the woods. There, he gathers rope and fabric to make a cloak and protect himself from the weather. Back in town, Teasel launches a full manhunt with K9 units and a helicopter. The dogs pick up Rambo's scent quickly. Joan heads north, using the compass hidden in his knife. But the search party is getting closer, their sounds growing louder behind him. Joan climbs to the mountain peak with nowhere left to run. As he starts down a steep cliff above a river, a helicopter appears. Inside, G is armed and ready to kill, ignoring orders to take Rambo alive. He yells at the pilot to stay steady and threatens to shoot if he doesn't. Bullets hit the cliff as John clings to the rock, knowing time is running out. With no choice, he jumps. On the way down, he grabs tree branches, slowing his fall just enough to survive. He lands hard, cutting his right arm. Above, G keeps searching, but the thick trees block his view. Rambo steps from the shadows and throws a rock, shattering the helicopter's windshield. The pilot panics and G falls from the open door, landing on the sharp rocks below. Rambo checks no pulse. He takes the rifle and disappears into the forest along the river. When Teasel finds G's body, the crew says nothing. Only silence remains. Rambo uses his knife to stitch up his shoulder. Then, with hands raised, he walks toward the search team. From above, Teasel orders him to stop. Joan knows talking won't help with rifles pointed at him. He slowly backs away, tense and ready. Suddenly, Teasel fires. The others follow. Rambo dives behind the rocks and disappears into the forest. Teasel tries to call a helicopter to recover G's body, but the storm is too strong, no aircraft can fly. Over the radio, they learn the truth. John Rambo is a decorated Vietnam vet. Tension grows. The deputies start blaming Teasel, saying he pushed things too far. Teasel grabs Mitch and forces him to face G's body, vowing revenge. As the dogs push through the pouring rain, frustration mounts. Meanwhile, Rambo, armed and in survival mode, sets traps in the forest. He shoots a handler in the leg and uses a decoy to lure in the dogs, taking them out one by one. Still, Teasel won't back down. He pushes his team forward, but the forest is Rambo's domain. Moving silently with his knife, Rambo picks off his pursuers one by one. Calm and deadly, he turns the woods into a war zone, where chaos erupts and officers mistakenly shoot their own. Soon, only Teasel is left unharmed. Rambo moves in fast, holding a knife to his throat before he can react. He could have killed them all, but chooses not to. He just wants to be left alone. After making that clear, he spares Teasel and vanishes into the woods with a police radio. As the injured are carried out, reporters arrive and state police flood the scene. Teasel won't back down. He's still in charge and determined to finish the job, especially with reinforcements at his side. Then Colonel Sam Trautman arrives, calmly telling the officers that Joan is the best soldier he's ever seen, able to survive anything, even without food, water, or help. Trautman is shocked Rambo's still alive. He urges Teasel to step back and let the military handle it once Rambo calms down. But Teasel refuses. He won't look weak. With 200 trained officers, he's sure they can trap and capture Rambo. As Trautman walks away, he gives a grim warning. Teasel follows, asking him to stay. Meanwhile, the town prepares for the storm. Deep in the forest, Rambo hunts a wild boar and takes shelter in an old, hidden cabin. Listening to police calls on a stolen radio, he stays silent. To ease tensions, Teasel asks Trautman to reach out to Rambo. They plan to trace the signal as Trautman uses military call signs leader, Baker Team, Rambo, Raven, Vulture. The names catch Rambo off guard. Then Trautman begins listing the names of their old unit, one by one. Joan finally responds, his voice filled with grief. He's the last one left. Trautman offers sympathy and urges him to surrender, but Rambo refuses, saying Teasel drew first blood. Then the radio goes silent. The signal is traced, and by dawn, officers close in on his mountain hideout, but Rambo escapes again. Rambo nearly shoots a young hunter, but spares him, seeing he's no threat. Others aren't as lucky. They spot Rambo and fire warning shots. Joan bolts into an abandoned mine and seals the door. Moments later, officers surround it and open fire, shocked when he shoots back with an automatic rifle. A lieutenant gives Rambo 3 seconds to surrender. When he doesn't respond, they fire a rocket, causing a cave in that seals the entrance. But Rambo escapes deeper into the tunnels. Outside, officers celebrate and take photos, thinking it's over. Teasel arrives, sees the wreckage, and is furious. Once again, Teasel's order to hold fire was ignored. Now they need a body to cover the mistake. Colonel Trautman arrives, warning that Teasel's pride is only making things worse. But Teasel, desperate and drained, storms off. With the bulldozer still hours away, he returns to the station, exhausted. Meanwhile, deep in the dark mine, Rambo finds old barrels of fuel. Rambo lights a torch and moves through waist-deep, icy water, hoping the stream leads out. A swarm of rats attacks, but he fends them off. Seeing smoke rise, he follows the airflow through the darkness and finally reaches the surface. Back in town, a calmer Teasel finds Trautman at a bar and quietly apologizes. Teasel asks Trautman what he would have done in his place, admitting he almost killed Rambo but couldn't. He then asks the colonel the same. Trautman has no answer. It's been too long since he truly knew who Joan had become. They both assume Rambo died in the cave-in, but deep down, neither is sure. Rambo is still alive. Rambo spots a convoy and jumps onto a military truck. Holding the driver at knife point, he discovers it's loaded with M60 machine guns and ammo. He throws the driver out and takes control. The hijacking is quickly reported, and Teasel gets the call Rambo is alive and armed. As Joan drives, a patrol car fires at him, shattering the truck's window. He swerves, forcing the car off the road into a parked vehicle. Then he crashes through a roadblock and speeds into the heart of Hope. At a gas station, he wrecks the truck, spilling fuel. Joan lights it, causing a massive explosion that stops the chase and throws the town into chaos. Armed with the M60, Rambo marches into Hope, ready for war. Teasel declares a state of emergency and orders everyone to stay inside. At the station, Trautman makes one last plea, but Teasel lashes out, accusing him of always taking Rambo's side. Teasel grabs a weapon and tells Trautman to leave, but the colonel doesn't argue. He warns it won't end well and offers to talk to Rambo, maybe the only one who still can. Teasel refuses. He won't give up his town. As emergency crews battle the fires, Rambo hides in the shadows while Teasel climbs to the station attic. Teasel suspects Rambo is coming for him. As gunshots ring out, he checks the roof. Meanwhile, Rambo shoots transformers, cutting power to entire blocks. He fires at storefronts, scattering the police, then sneaks into a gun shop. There, he lights the powder and ammo, causing a huge explosion that rocks the street. Teasel scrambles, unsure where Rambo will strike next. Suddenly, Rambo opens fire on the police station, blasting through the walls. He enters, knowing Teasel is above. The sheriff shoots first, but Rambo fires back, hitting him and sending him crashing through the skylight. Wounded, Teasel lies on the floor as Rambo stands over him, ready to end it. As Rambo prepares to shoot, Trautman's voice breaks through the smoke, ordering him to stop. Teasel, still on the floor, groans and calls Rambo insane. But Trautman stays calm, warning that if Rambo continues, the full force of the U.S. Army will respond and no one will survive. In the end, Rambo breaks down, releasing all the pain he's held inside. He didn't choose this life. He fought for his country, served in the war. But when he came home, he was cast aside. In Vietnam, he operated millions of dollars worth of military equipment. Now he can't even hold down a regular job. No one respects him. People just see him as a drifter. He gave everything but got nothing in return. His tears mixed with anger. His voice broke as he remembered the friends he lost. He told Trautman about one who was blown up by a mine right in front of him. That image never fades. Civilian life could never heal him. He couldn't sleep, couldn't talk to anyone, only to the ghosts of the comrades he'd lost. And each year, the pain grew deeper. Trautman stepped forward and quietly pulled John into an embrace. It wasn't just a gesture, it was the first sense of safety Rambo had felt in years. In that moment, the weight began to lift. With the colonel by his side, he laid down his weapon and surrendered. The battle outside was over, and so was the one inside him.